welcome to my allotment and welcome to my allotment videos, The Lottie Lady. I'm sorry it's been several months since I last posted. I was considering whether I wanted to continue with my vlogs. The reason I stopped really was that the allotment started to get a lot more busy when we got to springtime, which is what I had anticipated. And secondly, I just really wanted to get down here, get cracking, been super busy and really enjoy being here. And I guess I felt that the pressure to do these videos was hampering that enjoyment. However, I now think in retrospect that actually I really enjoyed doing the vlogging that I did before, and it's really useful for me to have it as a diary, so that I can look back on what I was doing and what worked well and what didn't, because I'm not the most organised person at writing things down in a notebook, despite having bought several of them. So yeah, I think the plot's looking quite different, so I am going to give you a tour of how my plot looks. I took on the plot last October and we are now in June, so it's coming up, well, I think it was right at the end of October, so it's roughly 7 months into having the plot. It looks very different. I'm still loving allotment life, getting a lot from being down here and also from my fellow allotmenters here in Nottingham. It's a really hot day today. It's actually currently about 6 in the evening and it is 28 degrees, so super hot, which I mean, we all love a bit of sunshine, but for me it's a bit too hot to be gardening really, but needs must, so I will show you round the plot. Okay, so I think the best thing is probably to pan round and then explain what I've been up to in a bit more detail. So this is how the plot currently looks. So there we go. Okay, so I'm going to explain in a bit more detail now. So I have installed a new arch over this pathway. We have managed to get some free slabs to make the entrance down into this plot from that main gate a lot more safe and a lot more less slippy, particularly, you know, all year round, because I intend to be here all year round. Things I've got growing at the moment, so I have here one sunflower. We did plant a crop of sunflowers, but this was really the strongest and only survivor. I have some lettuce in the ground which I need to thin out. I have over here next to the arch, I've put in a climbing rose, and I have also a honeysuckle, I think that is. So what I'm hoping really is to incorporate a bit more floral, so a bit more flowers to encourage pollinators. I have lettuce there, so it needs a little bit of weeding. I have, coming down, my berry area, so I have raspberries, I have some strawberries. In fact, these strawberries need to go in the bed because strawberries aren't really in this area. I have blueberries which aren't fruiting this year, but I'm hoping it's just because they're getting established because they are new plants. I have this strawberry cage, so there's quite a lot of bigger strawberries that are starting to come through, so definitely looking forward to picking a few of those as we go on in the season. I have rhubarb, which has been doing great. I've had quite a few rhubarb crumbles now, which is lovely, considering that that was a surprise that I thought had been dug up and didn't realise was actually here when we turned over that soil. So that was a perennial rhubarb that came up as a surprise. We have the apple tree is doing great. I mean, this apple tree I gave a hard prune to when I got the plot in October, but it's so prolific. Look at the amount of apples that are on there. So definitely more crumbles coming ahead for me. A lavender plant which is doing great from a barking bin, I think, at a DIY store, no doubt. So that's doing great, and that seems to really attract pollinators in as well, so that's another bonus. Going over here against this arch, I have planted sweet peas which are just about starting to flower. I do think sweet peas have the most amazing scent, and it's just adds to the look of the plot when I'm down here enjoying the odd restful moment that I seem to get, and also to attract pollinators again. Moving over, we have beetroot. So that was planted several weeks ago. It seems to be doing really well. It was from self-sown seed modules. I think the problem with beetroot is it can really struggle to settle down because it doesn't seem to like to be moved about out of the modules, and also there is some bird damage, but I really feel like that's come back stronger compared to how it was looking previously. I have red onions in the back. I have some shallots here which will need to be up soon. I have onions here which have just been pulled, as I will show you, or perhaps you've just seen in the video previously. I have garlic which is also due to come up because I have tested one bulb here and it seems to be not bad luck. Okay, moving over, I have a bed of flowers. So in here we have cosmos at the back, we have fuchsias, we have a geranium, and I think this is called cottage pink or dianthus. So that is another floral bed to attract in pollinators. More rhubarb, which, as you'll see in a minute, we have now a polytunnel, and the rhubarb is in an unfortunate position, but I won't move that until its dormant period later on in the year, very late on in the year. I have a brassica bed. I made the mistake of thinking that these brassicas did not need to be covered, and boy was I wrong, because I'd lost probably half my crop, and luckily I was given some additional crops. So in here we have cabbage, and over there we have Brussels sprouts. So they seem to be doing okay. I have in this bed, so this is 2 pallet collars, and this was 50% sand and 50% compost. So these are carrots which now need thinning out slightly and weeding. It's a job that I've not quite got round to yet, but these carrots are doing amazingly. I'm respecting long productive carrots in this bed. Moving back over here, we have behind sweet peas, I have planted some French beans up against that arch, because making use of all the available climbing space, and underneath, so no space is misused or not given full productivity, I have sown radishes which I think need thinning out, and I'm just starting to poke through, so that's good news. And the soil's looking very dry. They have been watered twice today, but again it's 28 degrees even though it's evening. Behind here I have sown some more French climbing beans and some yellow climbing beans, so I think that will give not only some variety to what I harvest, but also some sort of variety to when I look out on the plot, some variety of colour. So moving over, broad beans are doing fantastically well. As you can see, they are starting to plump out. I mean, really, they are about ready to be picked. So I shall be harvesting those and enjoying them very, very soon. I have now a runner bean frame, so I managed to find these scaffolding poles behind the shed and rig this up, and I have lots of runner beans which are doing not bad really for the time of year, making their way up those poles, which is what we want. I have a bed here which has sweet corn, which I was a bit worried about, but seems to be gaining vitality once more. That's great. And then there is my polytunnel. I absolutely love this polytunnel. Now, I put this polytunnel up roughly about a month ago because I was in a race to get it up so that it could be used this season. So it is a out sunny polytunnel, not the most expensive polytunnel, nor the cheapest really. I mean, it's amongst the cheapest, but I wanted one with a sturdy closable door. So the step over, so it has got a proper hinged door. But moving on into here, you will see I have tomato beds which I have interplanted with marigolds, and also with some basil, although the basil looking a bit limp and lifeless to be fair. I've rigged them up with canes at the top, which I have put strings on, which seem to be doing a very good job of holding up the tomatoes. I think they look happy and healthy enough. More tomatoes here, and then I've left a space at the back because I do have, probably a little bit late to the party here, but I do have cucumbers that are growing at home. They're not quite big enough to be transplanted here. And then after the whole pigeon fiasco with the cabbages, I decided that I would put Brussels in here so that should all else go wrong, I will have brassicas. Well, in this case I will have broccoli to pick, because I don't think the birds or the pests such as slugs seem to be bothered about or manage to get in here. Just more marigolds that need to go in to be implanted, and leeks that are ready to go, I think, in where the onion has have been once that's dried out. At the top of here I have put a gutter pipe, and I decided to sow some a late sowing of peas, and I mean, they're loving it. Look, doing tremendously well considering they were only planted less than a week ago. So it won't be long before they're out. I have a healthy looking, well, relatively healthy looking, some yellow leaves. I think it might need a tomato feed, but a pepper plant and a chilli plant, and there are others at home. So this is the current state of the onions and garlic now in June. It's hard to believe that it was about coming up for 7 months ago now that we planted these onions and garlic. Time's going quick, hasn't it, Dylan?
Yeah.
It was one of the first things that I did when I got to the plot, and I'm so grateful that I did that, because it's given me great motivation to see that growing, and also it's one of the first few harvests I've had here, apart from the perennial rhubarb, which was already here when I came to the plot, so I didn't plant it, but I've had harvest of that. But yeah, this is the first thing that I've actually sown that is ready to harvest. So Dylan, if you want to try and get a bulb up, and we can just make sure that they are ready. That's it. So how's that looking?
There you go.
So actually that is looking pretty good. So what will happen is that will shake off the soil, and that will dry in the polytunnel. I'll probably hang it upside down for a few weeks, and once they're dried they should store for quite a while. So I'm just going to pop the rest of these in now. first onion. Okay, so there we have my onions for the overwintered towards 2022 crop, and overall I'm very pleased. Some good whoppers here, some smaller ones, so my learning from that would be, I think I probably planted a couple of them too small, too close together, so it hampered the size of both onions that were in that patch. But for a bed this small, it just goes to show how many onions can grow in this area. So yep, very pleased with that. I'm actually going to leave them on this bed for a week or two to completely dry out before I store them, and then I'm hoping, because there is no rot at all that is visible on these onions, that I'll be able to put leeks in here, because obviously if they had rot then I wouldn't have wanted to put another allium here. But as I can see no sign of disease, I'll be able to just reuse this compost and boost that up. So that's how the plot is looking 7 months on from taking it. What I would say is it's been hard work. I've loved every minute of it. So if any viewers out there are just about to take on a plot or offered a plot, I'd say go for it. It's a lot of hard work. It's so rewarding, so enjoyable, and I personally have never looked back. Learnt so much, but yeah, definitely one of the best things I've ever done. And completely to see the change and know that I did that from a blank canvas of a derelict land gives me immense satisfaction. So yep, go for it and enjoy the summer, enjoy your plots, and thank you for watching.